Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Happy Wednesday. Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. It's pretty exciting times. Bitcoin hit 66,000 for a little second, for a little something. It's back down trading around 64,000 or so, it looks like. Interesting stuff. It's so awesome to be an early adopter in this new asset class that is the digital asset space. We're winning. People are starting to get the calls and the texts from the normies, the retail people outside of crypto. Hey, I heard been hearing about this XRP thing. Should I get some? Hey, what's going on with Solana? I'm hearing they got this thing here. Do you know about this thing called the Go? Yeah, so retail, those of us in crypto are starting to get the calls from the normies, as we like to call them, outside of crypto. So that is a big sign. I think that is a really big sign. So again, happy generational wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. The market is doing what it does, family. The market is simply doing what it does. Let me know if you guys want to see more of the old money doesn't want you to win merch. Yeah, I think I need to bring that back into the fold. Give you guys a opportunity to grab some of that old money doesn't want you to win merchandise. Let's go. I think I should bring that back into the fold uh, for sure. Definitely for sure. So interesting stuff today. I was going over some of the XRPL Apex Summit videos. One was the lending protocol video. I was gonna do a live stream about that. And John Link did a video on it. He beat me to it. I was gonna do a live stream on that because I'm listening to this dude talk and I'm like, hmm, like I don't know, hmm. But then I listened to subsequent videos. One of them was by gosh, I always forget her name. Jazzy Cooper. And she cleared up some things for me. So we're gonna get into that, Jazzy Cooper. So we're gonna get in that. We're gonna get into a little bit more of Jeff from Moy Finance as well, and their goal for unified liquidity on the XRPL. I think it's very smart goal, and thank God they're looking to do something with that. So we'll cover some of that as well. Again, happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. I'm going to go over the market. Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. I'm going to make sure that we do our daily minting and redeeming. Pookie, looks like we can mint now. Looks like we can mint smaller number of lots, but looks like we can now mint and take advantage of the testing for the F assets, which bring utility to the asset, our beloved XRP. You know how that goes. So excited about that. I just looked and saw that I thought I was still in the liquidity pool on Turbos for all you DeFi guys, but I'm not on there anymore. I think I decided to exit because it was trending. This was about 2 weeks ago. Sui was trending down, and so not in the right direction. So I just exited and wanted to wait for that flipping of the trend. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Right now, it's trending in the right direction, right? We want to go sideways and up. Hydro's in the building. How are you? What's going on, Hydro? Good to see you, my friend. So yeah, I just noticed that. So it looks like Jupiter and Solana on two different ecosystems. I am in liquidity pools. There are different fee structures in the whole nine there. So we'll let the mastermind Patreon group know about that as well. I was going to share that in the Patreon, and then I discovered not on there anymore. It's good numbers right now. 2 million, 2 million, 2 million TVL, 2 million 24-hour volume. Those are good numbers, babe. Those are good numbers for sure. If you're into DeFi and you like the passive daily income. All right. So look, should we go over the numbers? I think we should go over the numbers, if you guys can stand it. Nothing from Crypto X. I really want to go over those 2 or 3 videos and kind of share my thoughts on this whole lending protocol thing. And I think the thesis for this video is it's all about Ripple's intent, Ripple and Ripple X intent and execution. Their intent for the lending protocol and their execution. Their intent for the stablecoin and their execution. I think that ultimately it falls back to those two things, intent and execution, right? So let's go over the market real quick. Check out CoinGecko and see what CoinGecko has to say about these numbers right now. Let's go over here and see. I was looking at SUI, just kind of checking the trend there a little bit, you know. 60% down from all-time high. So let's refresh CoinGecko here and see what it says about the numbers. According to CoinGecko, wow, the total cryptocurrency market cap is down 1.4% in the last 24 hours. It's currently at 2.47 trillion. Before I went to bed last night, it was actually 2.51 trillion. So interesting. Bitcoin dominance is at 51%, according to CoinGecko. And Bitcoin is trading at $64,268 again. On the 30-day, it's down 1.8%. Ethereum is trading at $3,404 again. And on a 30-day, it's down 3%. Solana is trading at $155 again. On the 30-day, it's up 10%. XRP is trading at 61 cents. And on the 30-day, it's up 22%. I'm told by my guy, Alessio Rastani, that we really want to get that 63%, break through that first area of resistance there at 63%. On the 7-day, it was up 40%, which is nice. Especially for swing traders out there. That was a nice trade, 43 to 63, somewhere around that range. On the 30-day, XRP is up 20%, which is interesting. Good to see that for sure. Near protocol is up 17% on the 30-day as well. So that's really, really good to see. But and I saw a very, very interesting data about Maker. I keep telling everyone about Maker. 40% of all the DeFi profits are made in the Maker DAO ethos. 40% of the profits in DeFi are made within the Maker DAO ethos. That is massive. That's massive. The question is, as a Maker holder, how else do you benefit from that besides holding the tokens? Right? That's the question. That is the question. For sure. All right. So let's get into these videos because it's interesting, this lending protocol theme here. This was really, it was interesting hearing this. Initially, I was excited about it when we heard about this months and months ago. I listened to the video again today, and I'm like, there were some things that I'm like, who is this thing really for? Because you know we're about the XRP holder here on this channel. We're about the digital asset holder here. So initially 2 or 3 months ago, I was excited about it because I could see retail developers leveraging the protocol in their UI, UX, in their decentralized application. I still think that is going to be the best benefit for the XRP holder. I think Ripple has a different intention, and I think they have a different customer in mind and leveraging this protocol that's going to be native to the XRPL. But let's take a listen to this dude here. It's Vito Tomas talking about some things here. You can see overview. It says fixed term interest accruing loans, uncollateralized, off-chain underwriting and risk management, on-chain first capital protection scheme. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this and kind of see. And again, first iteration is always important. What this kind of looks like for us as XRP holders and kind of where Ripple is and Ripple X is with this whole intention and execution.
Fixed term interest accruing loans. They are uncollateralized and they rely on off-chain underwriting and risk management. However, to protect the investors, to give them some kind of a insurance policy, the protocol also introduces on-chain first loss capital protection scheme. Who are the players? At the very core, we have the pool delegate. A pool delegate is controlled by one or more on-chain accounts. And first and foremost, they are responsible for creating, updating.
Hold on a second. Let me change this up. There we go. Pool delegate. Lending pool, create a pool, update the pool, delete the pool. Okay.
And deleting the lending pool. Once the lending pool is on chain, then the pool delegate can start attracting the liquidity providers. They may attract the liquidity providers through very favorable interest rates or very favorable capital protection scheme. It is up to the pool delegate how to do this. The protocol is not prescriptive.
When I look at this diagram here with a pool delegate and a lending pool looking to attract liquidity providers, obviously that we can be part of that as well as holders of digital assets. But who's going to be this pool delegate? What's that makeup going to be? Car loan places, and they look at home loan places. They look at consolidated loan places. And generally, what you'll see is this one broker who kind of has a bunch of other entities, and it's like an aggregate of all these other different entities, and they kind of trying to figure out, 4 or 5 places that may or have the ability to give you this auto loan or give you this home loan. That type of deal, right? Or give you this debt loan or consolidated loan, whatever that might be. I think the pool delegate will be something very, very similar to that. This creating a lending pool, it kind of reminds me of, and I can't remember the name now, but you guys know these kind of loan aggregators. You go on this one website, I'm trying to think, like not Ant Financial. What are those lending places that no, like what I want to say, hold on. Consolidated loans. No, just loans. One Main Financial, what was another one? Like One Main Financial, for example, right? And One Main might have different other places that will give people loans. And it could be a home loan, it could be auto loan, car loans, that type of thing. So I think this is what the pool delegate is going to be like, very, very similar to that. And a lot of times, the one up top, kind of provides a certain amount of insurance, if you will, and or assurance that if someone defaults on a thing, they'll have their back. But in return, they get to benefit from some of the fees that these other guys get from providing the loans.
Once the liquidity providers are attracted, their responsibility is to deposit liquidity into the pool. With the liquidity on the pool, the borrowers then can come and ask for a loan. Here, the pool delegate is also involved. The pool delegate is responsible for underwriting the loan, in other words, figuring out the terms of the loan with the borrower, managing the loan once it's created, and defaulting a loan in case the borrower is unable to pay the loan. Of course, all protocols in DeFi require incentives, and the lending protocol is no exception. Starting with the borrower, the incentive to the borrower is that they get access to on-chain liquidity. For the liquidity providers, the incentive is that every single payment made by the borrower is composed of a principal amount that was borrowed plus interest.
All right, so let me go back here real quick. Stop the share. Say hey to some of the people checking in. Trevor Conte, the blue interest in the building. How are you, bro? Alex Yeet. Alex Yeet. Be careful on them roads, bro. Joe's in the building. What's going on, Joe? What happens if you lend your crypto and the person defaults? That's the gazillion-dollar question. There needs to be an FDIC type insurance for me to consider it. Yeah, I think that's kind of going to be the pool delegate, responsibility. The challenge with the pool delegate responsibility is how much are they going to be all in ensuring, like rocket loss, for example, exactly. Rocket loans, right, Joe? Like rocket loans, right? How much are they going to be assuring that the liquidity providers can be made whole, right? Now, this type of lending goes on in traditional worlds all the time, especially peer-to-peer, by the way. Peer-to-peer lending goes on all the time. And a lot of it is, a lot of times, is people with a certain amount of wealth, they want to lend their money out, they want to lend those dirty, nasty dollars out. And they kind of hedge, right? Obviously, it's not all their net worth. They may do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. And they understand kind of the risk reward with the capital. And I don't know if there's, other than, getting interest and their principal back, if there are other benefits to it, right? And again, this is just the first iteration. There's going to be collateral loans and over collateralized loans as well. This is just the first iteration of it for sure. Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys checking in on a Generational Wealth Wednesday afternoon for sure. So my first thought on this whole deal was, I'm not opposed to being a lender here, but I would not be a borrower here. That's my first thing, unless it's a significant type of borrowing, like borrowing for a home, borrowing for massive real estate purchase or something like that. But kind of basic, $5, $10, $20,000 stuff, probably I would not. I would more so lean into lending here, for me. But let's take a listen to some more of this. This is kind of where I am initially. Again, when we start talking about the second and third iterations that are going to include collateral options and over collateral options, that changes the game a bunch. That changes the game a bunch. But what I do see here is, as far as lending, are you in a position in traditional finance, unless you got like that little hustle thing that, we used to have in the military, are you in a position to loan out 100 and get back 200, right? Right. Where here you may be able to do that, right? Early on, you may be able to participate with your 100, 200, 500,000 and kind of take advantage of that, where for most people, unless you're running a little game in the streets, you're not really able to do that. I know in the space that I operate in as well, in the what is the dividend paying whole life insurance policies, a lot of us will take stuff at 5% and charge 6 and 7 and 8% to people who need capital. Right, that's another example. So be able to do that with these protocols as well, is how I see it. All right, so let's get back to the video. Let's do this one. Take a listen to Vito.
And this interest goes back to the liquidity providers, and each liquidity provider receives a share based on the initial amount that they deposited, that they contributed to the loan. The pool delegate, for all of their hard work and the risk they are taking, receives various fees from the borrower. So this starts from fees such as a credit origination fee for creating the loan, service fees, payment fees, late fees, and all sorts of other not hidden fees. So how does one go about actually creating the loan? So the process is fairly straightforward. Off the chain, the borrower and the pool delegate agree on the loan terms, perform creditworthiness checks, due diligence, and anything else that the pool delegate deems necessary to determine that this borrower is legitimate.
Let's see, when I see loan terms, due diligence, and credit worthiness, I think of things like OneMain Financial, other kind of stuff in that kind of category, with an ability, adding an extra ability to gain access to liquidity, right? So this is something that would benefit entities like that. And this is, again, this is, a lot of people don't know, but Chris Larson kind of started out in this space, in this OneMain Financial, this Prosper Financial space. This was Larson kind of cut his teeth and had some success there. So I could see players like that where, not a lot of liquidity out there, right? It's not a lot of liquidity out there for those kind of entities. And perhaps, this could be a nice spot or space for the XRPL, that type of deal. And again, if once we kind of get this whole deal shored up, if you will, being able to tap that principal and interest thing and accumulating and accumulating and accumulating, the game changer is the access to the retail person, right? Not just the high net worth people that just need to do some stuff with their capital, quote unquote, safely. Or these big insurance companies who lend out their capital to car dealers and dealerships and things like that. We can become the insurance company that's lending out capital. You understand? We can become these financial institutions like OneMain who lend out their capital. That's kind of where I see this. And you got to understand something as well, right? This doesn't say this is crypto only, right? So you can be in a position with your dirty, nasty fiat at earning 0.02 or 0.01, right? Taking some extra cash flow and being able to get some yield on that dirty, nasty fiat as well. Now, I'm sure it'll be, you may have to turn it into a stable coin, but you might not. You might not. But in any case, that's something else to consider as well. And hopefully you guys got some cash flow stuff going on so that you can kind of leverage this stuff.
They are not a big risk. Of course, again, the lending protocol is not prescriptive. The pool delegate might choose not to do anything. However, with the loan terms agreed, they are captured in an on-chain object called a loan. But this does not capture the legal agreement. This simply captures things such as the interest rate, the payment period, the late fees, and other necessary information to compute the loan.
Right. So this is definitely like a OneMain Financial, a Prosper Financial. Think of other things kind of like OneMain. I can't remember the other one. That's a pretty popular one, right? So they would be doing all the legal stuff off the chain, right? But they're going to be tapping into liquidity on the chain, right? Which is, again, another access for them to access liquidity. for sure. And so we don't know who the people are that might be, willing to do loan terms and credit worthiness and going through credit checks and stuff like that. The other thing that I'm thinking is they're not going to know that underneath these people out there, the normies, not in crypto, don't know, have zero clue what XRPL is. They're going to be, they're going to be just out in their world looking for loans, right? They're not going to know underneath where this liquidity, where this money is coming from for them. They're not going to know. So again, access for retail. Retail is people in crypto. We'll be able to have access to this, being able to lend our stuff. You understand? The normies are going to have more liquidity opportunities, right? Right? Because in the traditional world, you and I, we're not getting in the game of lending our dollars out, right? We're not in that game, right? That's a high net worth type of deal, right? That's the multimillionaires type of deal, that are doing that are lending out that money, right?
Once a loan is created, the borrower and the pool delegate together sign a transaction called loan create and send this to XRP ledger. It is very important that this transaction is signed by both parties. If the transaction would be only signed, for example, just by the borrower, well, this would enable the borrower creating the loan without the agreement from the pool delegate. Of course, vice versa also holds. So if the pool delegate could create the loan object without the borrower's agreement, well, now the borrower is suddenly in debt without his consent. So that's why it's very important that this is a multi-signature transaction. Once the terms are saved on chain, then the borrower can start drawing down from the funds and paying back the loan. So what is the life cycle of the loan? Well, at the very beginning, we have the start. So this is day 0 of the loan. If everything goes well, the borrower can start making regular payments that are calculated, where the payment schedule is calculated using traditional amortization function that comes from the lending world outside. Or they can make a single one-off payment paying off the entire loan with some early payment fees. Now, the less happy path is when the borrower begins missing the payment. So far, everything is okay. The borrower can make a late payment, which contains everything that was due up to the missed payment point, plus any additional accrued interest, and as always, late payment fees. Once this payment is made, the loan goes back to its original state and business continues as usual. Unfortunately, if the borrower continues missing the payment, after a certain grace period passes, the pool delegate is now in the position to default the loan. Once the loan is defaulted, it is done. The borrower is no longer able to make any payments against the loan, and this triggers the first loss capital liquidation scheme. How does that look like? So in the nomenclature of the pool, of the lending pool, this is called a pool delegate cover. It is a first loss capital to safeguard the liquidity providers. And it is a configurable percentage of the value of the pool, of the lending pool. So for example, if the pool delegate creates a lending pool with a 50,000 USDC cap, and they configure that their pool delegate is 50%, it means that the pool delegate has to deposit 25,000 into the pool as insurance. Once a loan is defaulted, a configurable percentage of that deposited capital is then liquidated and returned to the liquidity providers to cover the losses. Again, the lending protocol is not prescriptive. It is up to the pool delegate to decide how much first loss capital they are willing to deposit and how much of their first loss capital they are willing to use to protect the liquidity providers. So, for example, if the pool delegate chooses to provide zero first loss capital, it means that the liquidity providers are bearing all of the risk for the borrower. On the other extreme, if the pool delegate decides to protect the entirety of the liquidity pool, then the pool delegate is taking upon all of the risk on themselves, but this might mean that the interest rates are higher or the fees are higher, so it would be more difficult to attract the borrowers. So it's a very delicate balancing game between making the pool attractive for the liquidity providers and making the pool attractive for the borrowers. So this is what I have so far about the lending protocol. It is a very high overview, but this is just the beginning. So we have released the specification for a discussion with the community, and we're actively taking in feedback.
So I think, again, Joe, for me here, Joe says, Siege, did I miss the step-by-step AMM video? Yes. I did that. I did it yesterday's live stream, bro. You can check that out there for sure. Here in Puerto Rico, they still have loan sharks, 10% a month interest. Exactly, Joe. And that's exactly what I was going to speak to. You said 10% a month interest. There's daily interest as well, right? There's daily daily interest that would really is kind of like it's kind of like the same thing as monthly interest, a certain amount of interest per day that you're paying. Let's see here. And you gotta look into those as well. So like Lending Point, that's another one. Lending Point, Lending Tree, One Main Financial. There's daily interest as well. And so, and the reason why Lending Point, Lending Tree, One Main Financial, the reason why I bring them up is being on chain going to be different, right? Chris Miles says, hi, C's, outstanding content. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Right? Is on chain going to make a difference? Is it going to be different? What are these pool delegates going to look like? That's the thing that I want to see. Again, this is first iteration. You got to understand that. This is taken, and it's not even actually built out yet. So it's still in kind of like the idea phase, if you will. But that's what I want to see. What is that going to look like? Because are we going to just bring, like Joe says here, are we going to just bring in the predators, loan sharks, if you will? Are we going to just give them access to this liquidity on chain? What is this pool delegate going to look like? In the terms and stuff that they're going to offer, that's going to be important to see. So, and I think it's going to play out, but we just have to see what it's going to look like. That's hugely important. So, that's why I say I think the thesis, if you will, for the video, this live stream is, what is the intent and for this lending protocol, and what's the execution going to look like when it's all said and done? It's going to be hugely important that we figure that out. Now, I got my answers to that in a video here. Let me share it. I got the intent part covered in this video here from this lady here that I keep, Jazzy Cooper. Yeah, Jazzy Cooper. Let's just have you take a look, listen to this part here. Some of the beginning and then another part.
My name is Jazzy. I work for Ripple. I lead the DeFi products group within Ripple X. I'm excited to be here to talk a little bit about institutional DeFi and RWA on the XRP ledger. So just as a little bit of context before diving in, Ripple is one contributor on the XRP ledger. This is the roadmap within Ripple X. This is not the roadmap for the full XRP ledger. I'm sure a lot of you, even in this room, have different projects you're working on, features you're thinking about contributing. So we're hopeful for more and merrier roadmaps in addition to this one. But today I want to talk a little bit about how we think about the XRP ledger, the features on the ledger, and how we hope to contribute to its evolution. So why are we all here? Ultimately, we're looking to create a better financial system for real people, real businesses, and real assets. So starting at the beginning, traditional finance ultimately is insufficient. That's a big reason why we're all in this room today. You look at deposit accounts, they lack transparency. If you see your savings balance there, you have no idea where that money is actually going on the back end, and no idea why interest rates are 5%, and yet you're taking home a couple basis points. So it's clearly unfair in terms of the distribution, lacks transparency. Payments are still.
So I think this is an important part. Again, this is why I think it's important to figure out the intent here and then look for their execution. Ripple X intent. It says a better financial system. And then we got to pay attention to their execution, right? And this is a big one. Lack transparency on use of funds and interest distribution is often unfair. So we're getting a sense of the intent here. Now we look as investors, doing our homework and doing our due diligence. What's going to be their execution on that intention, on that ideology? What's their execution going to look like? Because this is, right, we're talking about this as being built on the XRPL.
Incredibly slow to this day. So they require multi-day settlement on several intermediaries and a very poor user experience, especially if you're looking to go international. Trading as well. If you want to trade stocks, for example, depends on a very opaque and ultimately biased listing process. You guys are probably familiar with one of the main regulators of the stock exchanges and of securities in the US, and know that all of the different securities you're trading have to go through that filter in order to be traded on a public exchange. So this is definitely an outdated process. Access to credit is something that's very near and dear to a lot of us. It's a highly biased system, again, dependent on 3 credit bureaus that decide whether or not an individual is worthy of a loan based on arbitrary metrics and things that don't ultimately treat all people equally in terms of their ability to access capital, to expand their life, to grow their businesses, and so on.
So again, this is a big intention here. It's a big ideology here, and we really, we're wanting to pay attention to the execution on this. And these are big things to me. Intent and execution. Access to credit is highly biased and often unaffordable due to numerous intermediaries. And so this, again, for me, this is about intent and execution. When I see this, and I listen to her speaking, it feels like all of these things seem like a very near and dear to the heart thing coming from Jazzy here. But ultimately, it's going to depend on the execution of this. Ultimately, I think everyone can agree that she feels like they're coming from a good place. They recognize some challenges, and they're trying to shore it up. Remember, a new and better financial system. Lofty goal, absolutely lofty goal. And I'm looking for the execution. I trust the intent. I really, really do. But I want to look for the execution of this. And we'll have a part to say in this as well, which I think is awesome. And for me, it's always the reason why I love DeFi, because DeFi is vast majority. It's just a peer-to-peer thing. It's what it is. It's you loaning your money to someone else who wants to borrow the money. And the someone else is just someone, it might be your neighbor, right? Might be someone in a country that might not have access to stuff, but they got their smartphone and that type of stuff. Ultimately, that's why I like DeFi so much. So because it does provide another measure of accessibility. And you guys know on this channel all the time how I talked about the idea of not having to be interviewed and scrutinized and judged by some other person on the other side of a table saying whether or not they think you're worthy of their money, right? And so, which is why one of the reasons why I love DeFi so much. So, we're gonna have to look and see what does it look like, this new and better financial system that Ripple X and Ripple is looking to create. So we got the intent and the ideology, if you will. But what is the execution going to look like? Because I saw credit worthiness on there as an example that something that a pool delegate might do. And what are they going to do it? Like, what is it going to look like? Awesome. So we'll have to see what it's going to look like. We're going to see what it's going to look like. Hold on one second. Guys, just 1 second. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I just wanted to had to talk Miss Crypto C's there for a second. But yeah, so again, intent versus execution, I think is going to be massively. Thanks for hanging out, waiting for me, by the way. But I think that it's going to be massively important. It feels like a great idea. It feels like a great intent here. And if they can execute on that, um, giving more people access, that's going to be a massive thing if they can execute on that. I mean, really. If they can execute on it, it's going to be, I think it's going to be really, really massive, Chris, if they can execute on it. I really do. I think it can be massive for sure. What do you guys think? What do you think about the intent here with this lending protocol? I mean, RWAs and, you know, institutional DeFi, I mean, that's kind of, you know, that's kind of, there's no muddy there. There's no muddy. There's no gray area there, right? So RWA is going to come. Institutional DeFi is going to come. But this lending protocol, this, being able to execute this intention, it's a little different. It's a little different. What say you? I'm going to hook up Flare F test stuff here while you guys are answering. But what do you think about that? You know what I mean? It's interesting. Again, here's the good part I see. This is the first iteration of an idea. Again, collateral loans are coming, over collateralized loans. You know, they hope to get to those places. Those are coming. But when I listen to Jazzy, it feels like very, very awesome intentions with the masses in mind, right? With the masses in mind. And I keep thinking about the emerging market part of the masses as well. Because we all know what the XRPL can do. You can be lending in some dollars, and they're getting some pesos or some real or some other kind of thing on their end, so they can do some kind of business or do some kind of whatever, right? So there's a big picture to it for sure. There's a big picture to it for sure. And it's going to be from a lending perspective, I think, if we're lending, we got to have, for me, I'm going to have like a write-off kind of mentality here, right? An amount that I can afford to lose type deal if everything goes awry, right? That type of deal. But it's also going to be another good part about feeling good about perhaps you are lending to some people in some emerging markets looking to build a thing or grow a thing, which might be pretty cool to know that we're kind of coming together and, let the politicians do what it is that they do. But that we're coming together. So I kind of really like that, kind of really love that part as well. So should we do some little F tests? You guys haven't responded here unless this thing's not. So let's do a little F asset minting and redeeming. Is Pookie on here? I know like for the last, I feel like 10, 12, 14 days. I know for me, I have not been able to mint or redeem. Anybody new on there that don't know this website, let me know and I'll share it with you guys.
Sold out.
Sold out that fast? Let me know if you're gonna if you don't have this address, so I can help you guys with doing that.
No.
Put this back in developer mode. See if we can't mint. See, there it is again. I got the mint earlier this morning, but now it's just saying, yeah, no agents available. So crazy. But I did get to do it earlier, like 45 minutes, an hour ago. but I can probably redeem. Yeah, so we can redeem, but the agents once again, not available. Now I'm going to refresh and redo the wallet and see. Guys, do me a favor and hit that like button. That'd be super, super cool. If you could hit the like button for us, it's one of the greater ways to support the channel. We're going to get this channel out to more people that are hanging out, that don't know that a new and better financial system is being built right underneath their nose. We always like to have just as many likes as we have viewers in the stream. So I appreciate you guys doing that for sure. And by the way, if you happen to be in that 45% or so of people that are hanging out, listening and watching to the Crypto Seeds, and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell, baby, so as you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. Okay, so I'm going to try this. I'm going to disconnect. And I'm going to refresh and see if that works. Refresh. All right, so try and connect again. Let's see. Let's see. Don't look like it. Nope. 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 That was it. Can't mint anymore. Can't mint anymore. I haven't heard anything from the chat in a while. Let's make sure this chat is working correctly. I hope I didn't lose you guys. Hydro says can't mint. Yep. So it worked for a little bit. I don't know how often one can check in here and kind of figure that stuff out. But I did get a chance to mint. And when I put a big number in the mint, it wouldn't work. So I had to put a small number in to mint. So, and not working means really it's got to be a certain amount of collateral. It's got to be that the F agents have access to be able to process the whole deal. So kind of where that is. So I shared those two videos. I really do think there's tokenization on the XRPL and the real world assets. Let me see if I can't find a certain part of this video where Jazzy says something that I thought was very interesting. I think it was at the 7-minute mark. An alternative to smart contracts. Primitives are an alternative to smart contracts. Okay. Let's go back here to 7 minutes. Can't mint. Thanks, Gary says we bots today. Let me share this real quick. Let me share. Let's take a listen to Jazzy again. She says here that primitives are an alternative to smart contracts. Interesting.
Primitives, if we just get the right elements available, you can ultimately compose almost anything that's possible within the universe of XRPL. So I think that's an exciting sort of North Star that we can think about as we continue to build out this set. And a few attributes of primitives in particular. So they're intended to be simple and accessible. They're intended to be low risk. So I mentioned smart contracts before. If you look at EVM smart contracts, anyone can code one up, push it to the blockchain. It's publicly available right away. With XRPL primitives, they go through an unfortunately slow, but ultimately high fidelity, high review audited, and these primitives are not adopted and available on the ledger until all UNL validators agree that they've seen the audits, they've seen the performance tests, they know that this new code is effectively bulletproof. There's no risk that it poses to users or the ledger, or at least minimal risk, as low as they can get it. So definitely a value prop that we really believe in terms of primitives. Full disintermediation. So when you have new primitives at the protocol level, that's one less level of intermediation than what you even see in a world where there's smart contracts in a virtual machine. Take NFTs, for example. We can all remember a particular NFT marketplace which decided to stop respecting royalties. The whole point of NFTs is to remove the intermediaries between the issuer, the artist, for example, and their fans. So if all of a sudden you start telling the issuer, who's the artist, you no longer have control over your whole asset. Why did we migrate to these new rails to begin with? So if you look at the XRP ledger, for example, royalties are set at the protocol level. That's a feature that's baked into XLS20 NFTs, and that's not going away as long as the ledger's effectively still running. So you can trust in this full disintermediation. There are no intermediaries that can mess with the settings of your product or feature. And lastly, aggregated liquidity. This is a really powerful one, similar to the last point I made, but one example you can look at in this little chart at the bottom is if you think about the AMM or the DEX, all of the liquidity is aggregated. It's not siloed in smart contracts. Again, with protocols like Uniswap on EVM, you have their own versions competing with one another. You have liquidity in version 2, version 3, version 4. That's all competing and cannibalizing in terms of the ability for a user to get a price-effective trade. And that's just competition within a single protocol. Those protocols are then competing against all the other, dozen plus AMMs that are available. But on XRPL, all of that goes away. The liquidity is shared. And then these awesome applications like Orchestra, Sologenic, Crossmark, Zaman, and any other UI can create a custom user experience for their target customer and tap into that shared liquidity at the bottom. So that's a feature that we're really excited about and we think will go a long way when it comes to on-chain finance. So North Stars for institutional DeFi. So ultimately, as I mentioned, we're looking to offer a core set of financial primitives for a new financial system. That's why we're all here, to create a better financial system. We're building with real sustainable utility as a first principle. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the tulip mania that happened. I think it started in the Netherlands, ironically, a few hundred years ago, where the price of tulips just skyrocketed. It's become this sort of representation of bubble markets. And ultimately, we can't deny there probably have been some bubbles in crypto, but ultimately the industry is not, and it doesn't need to be, as long as we're leaning into real sustainable utility when we think about the use cases and the assets that we invest in.
Is again, talking about a new financial system, and I think these are great intentions. We as holders have to really check. Let's check the execution. What is that going to look like? For sure. It feels like there's a big vision, a big long-term vision for this XRPL, and that's what you want, right? Especially as an XRP holder, is a long-term vision for the XRPL. It's certainly something that I think we all want, Hydra. We want that long-term vision. And if we can be that significant or a significant player, certainly we don't have to be everything, but if we can be a significant player in building out a new and better financial system, that can be super, super cool, right? That can be really, really, really cool. So, yeah, I mean, that can be super cool. And I'm excited about that. So we'll see. Intention and execution is going to be the name of the game for Ripple X, for sure. And I'm certainly rooting for the team there, and rooting for making the world aware of the prowess that is the XRPL and what it has to offer. These primitives, they're going to have to execute on them. It's good intentions for sure, but execution is going to be the name of the game for sure. So we did our minting thing. We went over the numbers, and yeah, we did that. Again, if you guys want to, kind of take your DeFi game to the next level, you can certainly check out our Patreon. Let me get that. for you guys, so you can check that out if you're interested in taking it to the next level, not just being able to, you know, punch some buttons, but generate that passive income on a daily basis. Let me make sure I got this right here. Yeah, there it is. I'll leave this in the thing here for you guys. Let's do this. Try this way. So Hydro says is excited about it too. I am. I really am. So long-term vision is hugely important. Having that big vision, big goal for the future is massively important as well. There's a link if you guys want to check it out, learn more about it for sure in the Patreon group. All right, fam. Look, I'm gonna hop off here. I just wanted to do this one. I'll be hopping on again later tonight as well to hook up and connect with you guys just for sure. I appreciate you guys checking in as always. Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you guys. Do me a favor and hit that like button on the way out if you didn't do so on the way in. And I'm going to end this live stream like I do all of my live streams and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this, perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.